What is up, HD Reefers? Mr. Reef HD here with another video. We are doing the 2-week update. Actually, tomorrow's technically 2 weeks that I set this tank up. I haven't touched it. I haven't done anything to it. I did rotate it 90 degrees. That's because we are going to tweak it a little bit, and we're going to put it in a new tank, which is right next to it, which I'll show you right now. So here's the tank. All the original inhabitants. You guys remember I added this guy in there. I have not touched this tank. I haven't cleaned it. I haven't done anything. You can see sand is almost pure white. There's a little spot right here because obviously that's a dead spot that I told you guys about. Honestly, if I put cleanup crew in here, this would probably be crystal clear glass right now. But that's what happens when you use live rock, live sand. The reason I'm switching the tanks is because this tank is very long. See, compared to the other one, it's hard to get the flow right. I put a wave maker in there and it was just blowing everything around. I don't want to buy a smaller one. I could, but I'm not trying to buy new things for this tank because this is just more of a a beginner guide. And as you can see, there's film on the top. I don't remember. I've had this tank with everything that's on it for about 3 years, and I don't remember having this film on top the last time. So maybe the pump's bad. I don't know. I mean, it's pumping. Overflows are bad. I don't know. Either way, the guy that gave me this clownfish, which by the way, they have been doing very well. They like each other. They hang out all day long. He hit me up and he was like, "Hey, do you want a 10-gallon water box? It's got everything. It's got a little filter roller mat." I'm not going to be using that light. Actually, he was supposed to take that light and forgot it. It's got a little media tray. I got an upgraded pump. This does up to 317 gallons, which is way more than enough for this tank. I won't be keeping it on full blast. It'll probably be on half that, probably even less than that, depending on what it looks like when it goes in. I did do a little cleaning video of this when I got it, and I'll show that to you guys right now. Alright, so that was me cleaning it, water testing it. I did test another pump. It was way too much flow. I mean, it was working and it was flowing, but it was way too much. Too much can go bad when you have flow going that quick. I think that thing was pushing 390 or 400 gallons per hour, which is just way too much. This one, hang on. So this one does go up to 317, but this one's a DC, which means it can be controlled I could turn it on, turn it up in tenths. So I'll probably have it at maybe like the 3rd or 4th light, I would assume. Came with a bunch of other stuff. Oh, this is the pump I was trying out in the video. What is this thing? Yeah, 450 gallons per hour. That was way too much. But yeah, this thing came with a bunch of stuff. There's the original pump it came with. I had this pump laying around. What else did it come with? I don't know, bunch of stuff. I'm going to be upgrading the light too. We're going to go to an AI Prime because this is a bigger tank. Like I said before, this light, nothing special. It's good for this size of a tank. As you can see, the anemones stayed at the top, so that tells you that this light is not a very powerful light, at least not enough for them to go to a lower area. I did have some concerns about people saying, hey, putting anemones in a tank, in a brand new tank, you probably shouldn't suggest that to beginners. I'm not suggesting that to beginners. The reason I do it is because anemones move, and you want them in the tank first because they will get to a spot that they're comfortable with, and they will stay there. They will move, but once they stay there, they're there for a good while. Especially if you get them in there and they're staying there for a week or two. The chances of them moving are kind of low. And when you first put them in, the chances are pretty high. These ones haven't moved, like I said, but they could have went anywhere that they wanted to. They chose to stay where they were. I think that if the light was brighter, they would have moved, but they didn't. But yeah, like I said in the last video, you can see there's no diatoms or anything on the rocks. No algae. The microbacter helps with that. Look at the sand. See, it's on the glass down here. Oh, can't even see. Right here. It's not on the gravel or the sand. Right there it is. But you could tell that that's a low flow area. So there's a little right there. Nothing over here, pure white. And like I said, I haven't messed with the sand. I have not messed with this. All I did is turn it sideways to get this tank next to it. Another reason for the tank switch too is these anemones are a lot bigger than I thought that they were. And for this tank, they're shadowing too much down there. Like, look at that. That's all shadow right here. Shadow. They're big. I actually might take the 2 giant ones out. Maybe propagate them and put 1 or 2 back in the new setup. But yeah, for this tank, I mean, if I was going to leave it with just these, it'd be perfect. But I plan on putting corals in here to show you guys the whole 9 yards of setting up a successful reef tank. So I can't do that without putting corals. And if the corals are down here, which is where I really wanted to put the Akin garden, they're not going to get light. They're not going to do good. This tank is so narrow. I think it's probably, I don't know, 6 inches wide, maybe. And probably, I don't know, you could look it up. It's the Fluval 5 gallon. I would guess that that's 15. Yeah, I'd guess that that's 15, 16 long, 6 wide. It's a super narrow tank. It's like a 55 gallon, like a standard 55. Those things, great tanks. I'm not bashing anybody that has them, but the footprint on them is so awkward. It's hard to get the flow right because what ends up happening is you can only get like a stream flow in there. So everything's pushing one way and everything needs to be going back and forth. So cube tank. Cube tanks can also be a little hard, but this is a smaller tank, so I plan on putting this in there. Probably push about 150 gallons an hour, and then I'm going to put the wave maker that I do have, that I had on here, in here. So with that being said, I'm going to put you guys on a time lapse. I'm going to take everything out of this tank, put it into this tank, and then top it off. I am going to add dragon's breath in here, and then we're going to do our first beginner corals. Alright guys, so everything is in the new tank. I do got the power head on down there. It looks like it's doing a pretty good job. I don't think that there's any dead spots in here. I do have this on 1 right now, and it seems to be pretty good. There's too much water in there. I know I need to take some out. This should be overflowing from this chamber, not up top here. There's a, you probably, actually I could probably turn the light on. There it is. So that weir right there, it shouldn't be higher than that. Oh, now it's getting my finger. So it should be draining over into that. I'll show you guys what that's supposed to look like. Turn the light off. So yeah, for now, it came with this roller mat, and how these work is, I've never had one before. I know how they work though. As you guys know, I don't like skimmers because they pull out organic matter, but that's exactly what this does too. But it doesn't pull it out on a like a molecule level, like a molecular level. It pulls out the big stuff because this is only 200 micron. As you can see, it'll pull out most big things, but not all of it, or not all the small things that corals can still eat. I have my heater under there, which you can see right here. It's not liking this wire because this is 3D printed to fit perfectly in there, so I might have to move my heater. Yeah, so this actually has a media basket in it. If I gotta move my heater, I'm gonna take my media basket out because it's not gonna work with the heater. And I'm not putting the heater in here because this fluctuates. And I don't want my heater to burn out and blow up, etc., because a lot of bad things can happen. But yeah, how this works, water flows into there. Let me see if I can get this out. There we go. So the water flows into there, and then it goes down into here, and the mat's on both sides, and it forces the water to flow through this material, and it flosses the water. And then every so often you'll come through, as you can see. So this part down here has already been used, so that means this stuff's almost out anyway. But as it starts to get clogged up, normally the automated ones, they turn themselves. This one you got to turn manually. So you turn this bottom one, it'll roll up the dirty roll, and at the same time, this one's going back down into there and putting clean roll in. So now you can see right there, it starts to get clean. So that means all of it inside of there right now is clean. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move my heater for sure, because this thing's not even sitting level. But that's how that works. Basically a filter sock that you don't have to change out. You just roll this probably once a day, hopefully, depending on, you know, how much food or whatever you put in your tank, how many fish. Everything looks happy. Water temperature is good. I do need to check the salinity. I will be testing. Yeah, so the next thing I'm going to do is go grab some corals, and then we will start gluing them onto the rocks. Alright guys, so I got the beginner corals. We got a Yuma mushroom. We got a Frammer. Or no, I didn't go with the Frammer. I just did the regular, really bright hammer. That right there in the middle is a leather coral toadstool with neon green tentacles. And then we went with 3 different rainbow akins. Well, there goes my light shade. Just fell down. But yeah, I'm going to hook you guys up to the tripod and try to walk you through how I do things. Everyone does everything differently, so not everybody would tell you to do it the way I'm about to do it, but I'll show you guys what works for me. And as I always tell people, asking the general community how to do things is not the way to go about it. The way to go about it is to watch somebody, and if you like how their tank looks, then you ask them how they do things. So for me, I'm going to take this whole rock out. Hold on, let me get a surface to work on so I don't soak everything. Perfect. Top of a bucket, never fails. So, I'm going to take this little rock out because this is going to be my new akin garden, if you will. You'll notice that people have names for things in the hobby. Everything that, you know, is in a certain area, they end up calling a garden. What I do is I pat the areas dry that I know where I'm going to be sticking them. I will grab my glue. I will put it where I'm going to be sticking them. And if I'm correct, I think the rock was sitting that way in there. So I'll put one right up here. I'll put one right here. And I'll put a little dab right here. You guys want to keep in mind that you got to give your coral some space to grow. So you don't want to put them too close to each other. There's one. There's 2. The glue that I use is a little runny, so it's already ran off of there. So I'm going to throw a little bit on the actual bottom of the coral. And then place him right here. And then when you're done, you take it and you put it back in. Sometimes you'll get super glue on your thumb like that. Don't panic, just wipe it off. Alright, now, next, I'm going to find a place for this leather. I want him somewhere low because these can grow pretty fast. This one doesn't. Anything with a lot of color on it in the hobby normally does not grow very fast. That's why they're so expensive. But yeah, this is a natural. He actually fell off of my giant one that I have and was sitting next to it, so I picked him up. You can glue these. They have a very rough area on their foot. Dab it dry so the glue sticks to it better. And since I'm doing just him in one random spot somewhere, I'm not going to pull the rock out that I'm attaching him to. I only do that when I'm doing like multiple pieces on one rock. And I want to put him somewhere, like I said, kind of low, because this will shadow out a lot of things. So I think I'll put him right here. I guess I didn't go super low with him, kind of mid-range. I probably should have put him in the back. I might move him. We'll see. Now we got the hammer. The hammer I'm going to put kind of high because I don't have the other light set up yet. I used it in the frag swap that I was in. And all that stuff is still in my basement and I haven't unpacked it yet because I'm a procrastinator. No other way around that. Where am I going to put him? And I got to be careful too because, like I said, these are going to move probably now that they're in a new tank. They didn't move very much in the other tank, but they were in the highest spot and the most brightest spot. Right now they're not in the bright... you know what? Maybe... What is going on here? Oh, it's doing a little reverse. Okay. I don't know how the heck it did that because it was blowing out normal. Sometimes with those little pumps, when you turn them on, they go backwards. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a feature or if it's something that's messed up. But actually... I don't know. I kind of like how the rockscape looks. I don't want to move it. Let me turn this off real quick. I think I can get the hammer up there nice. I will end up having to pull this plug off. Again, same thing with these. I dap it dry just so that way there's a good... The glue adheres to it better. Throw a little dab on them. Alright, so the hammer's good. Now I just got to put this mushroom, which it looks like he's stuck all the way on. I thought I was going to be able to get the piece off that he's on, but I'm not. So let's try this. Hopefully I don't break them. Perfect. Normally you want to do that with bone cutters because you can end up ripping your coral. And you don't want that to happen. Him, I'm going to put down there in the bottom left. Pop a little glue. Sometimes it could take a couple tries too to get things to stick. They don't always stick right away. It just depends. So there we go. We'll turn that back on. Get the flow back going. And there you go. So this is the 2-week update. I know some of you might not like that I switched the tanks, but I had to for the sake of the coral. I told you guys the last time I had it set up, I just had anemones in there, so it didn't really matter about, you know, getting the flow right. Anemones they do good with flow, they do good without flow, so it didn't really matter. And this guy, the subscriber that gave me the clownfish, gave me a really good deal on this tank. Couldn't pass it up. So it came with everything except for the return. I mean, it came with a return pump, but it came with a small one. I wanted to upgrade it because now, look, I can take this. I literally have it on one right now. But that's not even halfway. That's halfway. And it's about to fly out of the tank. So I think that I'll keep that at 1. Actually, let's try 2. 2 seems like a pretty good flow. I noticed already too, the overflow is actually skimming the top of this tank, or at least it appears to be right now. Might be because it's a new setup tank. It came with this top, came with the roller mat, media basket. He actually brought the media that was in it. So I did end up reusing that. I just kept it in my other tank until today, so that way obviously it didn't die. The bacteria stayed alive on there. I'll say again, I think that this tank, I don't think that I'll go through any ugly stage. Obviously there will be some sort of, you know, small cycle as it gets used to its environment and creates its own ecosystem. Obviously, yeah, it's still a new tank at this point. I guess you could say it's, if you want to say it's a fresh tank today, go ahead. I'm going to say it's 2 weeks old. I did add 3 more big base rocks in there, and then added all the other from the other tank, or all of the original rocks from the 5-gallon tank. Well, I had to do that because you need your biological filtration, and I took the 3 base rocks that I added, I took out of the same system that these rocks originally came from. With how good the flow is in here, I don't expect to see any dead spots, so there won't be any buildup anywhere. I don't expect to see any of the rocks getting any diatoms on them at all. They were sump rocks, so they weren't really exposed to light anyway, other than the light that came through the basement window. So I don't expect to see anything on there. That's not to say that there won't be anything on there. But yeah, dose this stuff at nighttime, the Microbacter 7. You're going to want to do that every time before, well, right after your lights go out or you turn your lights off. I'm going to stick with 1 milliliter still, since it's been working. I probably don't have to use it on this tank, because, or the tank before either, because the rock is so established. That's another thing too. If you go to your local fish store and you buy live rock, and it ends up getting diatoms on it, yeah, it might have been in the water, but doesn't mean that it's live. In order for live rock to stay live, you need food source, you need nitrates, you need phosphates in the water. So if your fish store like has just a little bin with salt water and there's just rock sitting in there, chances are it's probably not as cured. I mean, it might be to some level, but the longer cure the rocks go through, the better it's going to be for you. And like I said, I know that this rock, I've had this rock at least 7 years. So I know it's nice and stable, has all the stages of bacteria that it needs, that a tank needs. So just keep that in mind. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop doing the Microbacter 7 as like a little test. I want to see. If you have a new tank, you keep doing it because you're going to need it for sure. I can almost guarantee that. I'm trying to think of some things that I didn't go over. Skimmers. If you are going to run a skimmer, you're not going to want to run a skimmer right now. The reason being is that skimmers do pull bacteria out of the water. So if you're going to go with the skimmer, I would not turn that on until your tank's at least 6 to 8 weeks. You're just going to want that bacteria to stay in your tank for now. At the very beginning, you want it to stay in your tank. You don't want it to get pulled out by the skimmer, especially if you're dosing. If you're putting this in your tank, your skimmer is going to pull it out probably almost instantly, or at least overnight. So everybody that's going to have a skimmer or a bigger tank, don't run it until your tank's at least 6 to 8 weeks old. I would say that's the minimum. What else? Yeah, the only thing I really got feedback on was the anemones. I put the anemones in first for them to establish their, like I said, their spots. I know they're probably gonna move. I'm more experienced, so I will know what to do if something like that happens. Which basically you're gonna want to move the coral, and it sucks, but the anemones run the tank if you're gonna have them. They really do. So once they start walking, you gotta make sure that you get everything out of their way. So that's why it's good to put them in first if you are gonna have them, but it's not good to have an anemone in a new tank. Again, like I said, I know my rock, I know my sand. They're very established. This tank probably has, I would say, a 6-month head start on what an average person would be able to get a hold of, just because of how established the rock and sand is. Yeah, so that's all I can think about right now. I'm going to start taking some notes because on the spot, I'm not very good at thinking of things. But after I post this video, I'll be like, oh, I should have said this and I should have said that. So, give you guys a little close-up of everything. So this is actually called a Worldwide Coral Flamethrower Yuma. Don't get it confused with any other flamethrower or anything like that. This one's a true one. You can't see the mouth because it's a little shriveled up right now because it is not very happy. It just got moved. Here's some of the Akins. They're all closed up too because of the move. These guys are reacclimated again. They're like, what the heck? You just moved me 2 weeks ago. You're pissing me off. What are you doing hanging out in the little one? Go in the big one. The hammer actually is opening pretty good. I mean, he's higher up. And then I did put, this is a macroalgae. This is dragon's breath. What this does is it will eat nitrate and phosphate to grow. Well, I guess not eat, but it'll utilize. Maybe it does eat it. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is just a macroalgae. I think I'm going to grow it in the tank because this is more of like a designer one. This isn't. Some people do put this in their sump. I'm not. I was going to do it in the back of the old tank, but obviously we're not doing the old tank no more. We're sticking with this one, and I will not be changing it again, so don't worry about that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to stay like this. It's going to grow out. I have not done a water change yet. I guess technically today I did because I put about 4 gallons of new water with the other 4 gallons from the other tank. So yeah, this is a 10-gallon tank, but you got to remember that was one thing I've thought about is water displacement. So your sand, your rock, that all takes away how much actual water's in the tank. So this one, measured it out today. I have 8 gallons. So I did 4 new ones, 4 new gallons, and I did 4 old gallons. So there's actually 8 gallons of water in this whole 10-gallon tank, and that's because obviously the rock's taking up space, the sand's taking up space, the stuff in the back's taking up space. But yeah, here it is, week 2. Just put some corals in. Put some macroalgae in. That'll probably end up getting moved to the back because that's going to grow pretty quick. I would say that'll double in size in the next month. And I'll have to chop pieces away so that way it doesn't consume the whole tank. Here's a little side view. Glass is a little dirty right now because obviously we just moved everything in there. But there you go. 2-week update, everything's doing good. We did move tanks. And be on the lookout for the next video. If you want to see more videos like this, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Helps me out. Helps you guys get more information. And just all in all, it's good for the channel. So like, subscribe, and hit the bell. So that way I can keep giving you guys raw footage of me messing up words. But as always, happy reefing, everybody. Thanks for watching.